The Gen X Gamer channel is all about video games and game collecting.
Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Guys, one legacy of Gen X gamers of our generation is that it wasn't popular to be a gamer after a certain age. And by default, that means that there's less and less of our peers that share our same hobby. One of the reasons I made this channel is because I didn't have anybody to talk, about video games, in my social circle at all. Most of the people that were into video games were a lot younger, so we weren't even playing the same type of games. Like in my, one of my previous jobs, everybody was playing Fortnite. Now, I would play Fortnite with my grandkids, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't on the daily on there. Sometimes they'll jump onto my account or, just like they do on anything else that I have on here. They go on Roblox or, whatever's turned on, that's what they play. But I don't play the games myself, right? I'm not a fan of those games per se, or Minecraft, or anything like that. So the channel is kind of an outlet for me to talk to other people in my generation of things that we could appreciate, right? Retro games and other type of video games. And it's very unique to us, and it's not something that we talk about a lot or you see a lot talked about. And everybody's journey is different, right? Let me tell you, I was kind of a nerdy kid until I got to 10th grade. And then everything changed. Starting in the 10th grade, my friends and I went into a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? We started liking girls and it was just party city all the time. At that point, my friends who had been arcade gamers, would still go to the arcade, but they didn't have any home consoles. They had no interest in having home consoles anymore. They wouldn't talk about video games because, girls around us, they didn't talk about video games or even want to go to the arcade. For whatever reason, in our high school, it was all about parties. It was all about dancing. Once we got out of junior high and freshman year was really the last year that girls were hanging around the arcade with us. Remember 10th grade, they started dressing up. We started changing, we started looking like Duran Duran, less like Beavis and Butthead, because my friends and I, before that, we were straight up Beavis and Butthead, guys. I kid you not. We were those kids sitting in front of the TV, watching MTV all day, talking smack and just sitting there, waiting for, beautiful models to come on once in a while and listening to music, and playing video games. That's what we used to do. But that all changed. And when that changed, I was the last of the Mohicans. I was the last one who was actively playing video games, and the television. And I told this story before, and I'll and I'll tell it to you again when the Sprint comes in on Monday, supposedly, about why I have such a special memory of the television. But regardless, guys, it's something that to this day it's always the same. Everybody that I talk to about video games, besides my friends, and we talk about the arcade, and I show them this kind of stuff, but they don't have any of this stuff at home. They thought about it this Christmas. They're thinking about buying the Atari, more the My Arcade handheld, right? The Game Station Go, than the actual console, to be frank. But none of them were gamers after after the 10th grade. They just left. They're arcade gamers. They will play arcade games, but not at home, right? Like they'll go to arcade bar or something like that. But they don't participate at all. And that's the case for many of the people that I know, and many people in my circle. They just don't play video games, and that's not something that's common on other game generations, right? After us, it was cool. Like, we made it cool for older adults to be playing video games, but we had to take that heat. We had to take that women hate video games, and that's why you don't talk about them. That's why you kind of shy away from them. Because it's almost like you have to make a choice, right? You either wanted to date women or you wanted to play video games when you were a teenager. It was one of the two, right? Luckily for me, my wife is very understanding. I was very open with her ever since we met. I was like, this is it, This is the one thing I can quit, the going out, the partying, all the other stuff is gone, right? If we get married. This is the one thing I need to have, right? If you're cool with that, this is going to work out. And once you said yes, I knew my marriage was going to be perfect, right? And it's a normal marriage like anybody else, and I'm very happy with my wife. I'm very happy with my life. But, this part of the hobby, what I do here on camera, is what fulfills that need of communication with other people that like video games. And hopefully you stick around. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
The Gen X Gamer channel is all about video games and game collecting, all for you. So make sure you like and subscribe. And if you feel extra special, join the channel for now.